where we getting to know the prerequisites for you to set up the Kubernetes cluster and some of the limitations that you have within the Kubernetes cluster. In this section, I'm going to talk about the hardware and software requirement, the Kubernetes cluster support, Kubernetes installation tools, and how we can have the all-in-one setup with the help of Minikube. What are the different installation tools available? How to set up the environment? How to configure Kubernetes registry? How to and what to know about the Kuberium tool and deploy a test application, which is NGINX. So when it comes to the operating system, you can have any of the flavor of the Linux operating system as an operating system, but you need to consider the kernel version should be 3.10 if you are using Docker as the container runtime. If you decide to use something else other than Docker as the container runtime, you might want to see what is the minimum kernel version that specific Docker, the container runtime would need. In my case, I'm using Docker and I will just check the kernel version must be 3.10 or higher. When it comes to hardware, you must have minimum of 2 GB of RAM for each of your node, minimum 2 CPU cores. Each of the node participating in the cluster must have the network connectivity and they should all be able to communicate with each other. Each of the node of the cluster must have a unique host name, MAC address, also a product UUID. These are some of the software and hardware requirement. When it comes to the limitations of the Kubernetes cluster, you cannot have more than 5,000 nodes in a single Kubernetes cluster. You cannot have more than 150,000 total number of pods within a single Kubernetes cluster. You cannot have more than 300,000 total number of containers within a single Kubernetes cluster. And you cannot have more than 110 pods deployed on a single node of the Kubernetes cluster. These are some of the limitations that you should be aware of before you architecting or designing your Kubernetes cluster. If I get into one of the node, in my case, I just have 3 servers, kubectl get nodes. There is one master and 2 worker nodes. Let me get more details of one of this node. Let me say kubectl describe the node and the name of the node. So what I want to show you is some of the limitations such as pod limitation. Here is the capacity. Right now you have 2 CPU cores. Right now you have about 8 GB of memory and the maximum you can have is only 110 pods. Right? So the kubectl describe space node and the node name will give you the complete details of that node. It can be node 1. You can verify on the node 1 if you wanted to, right? You cannot have pods more than 110. Assume node 1 has 64 GB RAM, but node 2 has 128 GB RAM. Either of the case, you cannot have more than 110 pods running on a worker node. That's a limitations. It is not only about the configuration, it's also about some of the limitations of Kubernetes. And that is for the good reasons. So if you are planning to deploy a Kubernetes cluster, if you are a developer or a tester or trying to get started with Kubernetes, it is the Minikube which can help you set up the all-in-one Kubernetes cluster. I just can go to Google and give a Google search asking for Minikube. It took me to the command line. I have not hit the right page. So this is the link that you need to have. I'll put it in a chat message. And it will give an option. Are you planning to install Minikube on Linux, on Mac OS or Windows OS? So there are guided instructions how you can deploy a Kubernetes cluster with the help of Minikube. This is useful when you don't have the facility to create multiple VMs and you just want a single node Kubernetes cluster. Minikube is a local Kubernetes focusing on making it easy to learn and develop Kubernetes. You just need a Docker to be present, a virtual machine environment, and a single command. Minikube start will have you a Kubernetes cluster up and running. And then if you're looking for on-premises sort of a deployment, you want to go with the tool kubeadm, kubespray, kops as the deployment tool. There's also hosted and cloud solutions available for you. Azure has a cloud-based the Kubernetes solution called AKS, Azure Kubernetes Service. Google has GKE, Google Kubernetes Engine. AWS has EKS, Elastic Kubernetes Service. Red Hat also has a platform which uses the Kubernetes behind, which is OpenShift. SUSE also has a platform which is Rancher, which uses Kubernetes behind. Okay, so these are some of the options that are available. In our case, we want to deploy a on-premises cluster. And there are three options available: kubeadm, kubespray, and kops. And I'm going to use kubeadm for deploying the Kubernetes cluster. So kubeadm basically a first-class citizen on Kubernetes ecosystem, which provides a secure and recommended way for you to bootstrap your Kubernetes cluster. But there are few of the drawbacks with kubeadm. kubeadm cannot or is not recommended for a larger clusters. The reason is if you use the kubeadm as the tool, you need to log into each of the node to perform some of these steps. So kubeadm cannot help you automate the large cluster deployment. If that is your requirement, you need to think of a kubespray. So kubespray can be helpful for installing and configuring highly available Kubernetes cluster on a AWS, Google Cloud, Azure, OpenStack, or it can be a bare metal service. Kubespray can be helpful to deploy a large cluster because it is Ansible based, because it can help you automate the deployment, and is also available on most of the Linux distributions of flavors. But there's one of the drawback with kubespray. The kubespray cannot provision your systems, meaning kubespray cannot help install the operating system on those worker nodes. You need to have those nodes pre-provisioned, meaning the environment setup to be taken care by you. If you're looking for a solution which can even take care of deploying the operating system on each of the node of the cluster and set up the host name, IP address, do it from zero to hero, then you will have to think of a KOps, Kubernetes operations. With KOps, we can create, destroy, upgrade, and maintain a production grade, highly available Kubernetes cluster from the command line. And KOps can also provision the machines as well, such as install an operating system, then set up the host name, set up the IP configuration information. All that can be done by KOps. So when it comes to Kubernetes installation, there are multiple options available for you. Let me bring you the notepad. So if you're planning for deploying a Kubernetes cluster, there are multiple options available for you, not as a tool, as how many nodes you may need. You can think of all-in-one cluster. What tool will you use? Minikube, like a tool. It's not only the Minikube which is available, there are many other tools. The other option you might think of is one master and two worker nodes. Mostly for the POCs, we prefer having one master and two worker nodes, even for the learning and training purposes. And other option you have is, when I say one master, that is master with etcd. Okay, and the same master, the etcd will also be running. Or you can think of having three masters with etcd plus two worker nodes. Why two worker nodes? Why not one? What if that worker node goes down? You want your application to be automatically running on the next available worker node. Then the other option you have is three masters plus three etcd plus two worker nodes. This is what is recommended in production. You must have three dedicated masters, three etcds, and minimum two worker nodes. And what tool can you use? Any of the tools such as KubeADM, the KubeSpray, the KOps can be used for these scenarios. Okay. Now, why is the etcd to be separate? Because every minor change that you make within the Kubernetes cluster, the etcd will be contacted. And if you have a larger workloads, then larger cluster, then more reads and writes into etcd database. So you would want to have multiple etcd. Also, the importance of the etcd is what? If you have a single instance of etcd, it is a single point of failure. You want to consider having three etcds in a HA mode. So Kubernetes itself take care of ensuring one of the master is a primary, the other two masters going to be in the secondary mode. But you need to configure etcd in a HA mode, and you need to provide the virtual IP VIP to the Kube API server, so that whenever the Kube API has to contact etcd, it will contact the etcd using the virtual IP. So you can have all-in-one single node cluster using the Minikube, which is ideal solution for developers or somebody who want to get started. Or you can think of single node, which will have the etcd as well as master components running and minimum two worker nodes, which is what we are going to do. Or you can think of having multiple etcds, multiple masters, and multiple worker nodes. So in this mode, etcd is configured in a clustered mode outside the Kubernetes cluster and the nodes connected to it. The master nodes are all configured in a HA mode, connecting to the multiple worker nodes. Okay, how to set up the multi-master, multi-etcd cluster? There is the separate lab exercises and demonstration that we do as part of the training if you are interested. If you're thinking of a Minikube, you will need to have a laptop. You need to have some sort of virtualization software such as Hyper-V, Oracle VirtualBox. Then download the Minikube. That will create the Minikube VM, and it will install and configure the Kubernetes. And you can enjoy running the kubectl commands. This is what we are going to do. We will going to have one master and two worker nodes. And master also, we can run the user pods by removing the taint called no schedule, which I'm going to demonstrate. You have some of the installation consideration for Kubernetes. You need to take care of the etcd and worker nodes high availability. You need to take care of operating system upgrades that Kubernetes does not by itself take care. You need to take care of support for a hybrid if you're planning to deploy a hybrid cluster. You need to take care of federation support and also some of the enterprise ready features which are missing in Kubernetes. You will integrate that with the Kubernetes. So KubeADM is the tool that we are going to work with to bootstrap the best practice Kubernetes cluster. The only drawback is KubeADM cannot provision your machine. That is, you will need to be pre-provision your machines. So how do we deploy and set up the Kubernetes cluster? We're going to have some of the Linux-based virtual machines. In my case, CentOS version 8. Then we'll install and configure the repository and then install the KubeADM tool. I'll make one of the machine to act as the master, and then I'll have the overlay networking layer, and then I will join the other nodes to the Kubernetes cluster. So KubeADM is the tool which allow you to bootstrap your Kubernetes master and also allow you to join the worker nodes to the Kubernetes cluster. So KubeADM init is to bootstrap the master. KubeADM join is to add worker nodes to the Kubernetes cluster. If you want to upgrade the version, you can check with the help of KubeADM upgrade to know what is your current version and what is the new version available. You can make a configuration change with the help of KubeADM config. You also can generate and list the tokens that is needed while you join the Kubernetes cluster. During the process of KubeADM init or join, if it fails, you also can use the command KubeADM reset to give a retry. So once the Kubernetes cluster is deployed, we can go ahead and run the nginx-based application and verify the cluster is up and running. Let me demonstrate you practically how to deploy a Kubernetes cluster.